Well, welcome everybody. This is contacting units. And I have to assume, first of all, that everybody here is some kind of unit commissioner. Contacting units is the key, the main role of a unit commissioner, yet so many unit commissioners don't do it or just focus on one unit. So unit commissioners, responsibility, wanted unit commissioners. We need more unit commissioners. Responsibilities include supporting unit growth and retention and journey to excellence. I want to have some discussions here. And so I'm going to ask you, at least most of you, to unmute yourselves because I want to hear some comments. I don't think I can control unmuting everybody. With a little respect to Journey to Excellence, I have to assume everybody is understanding the role of Journey to Excellence for the year 2021.
A little bit. I understand the requirements have changed.
Well, as you probably know, Journey to Excellence was the key evaluation tool for councils, districts, and all the different kinds of units. And with all the changes in Journey to Excellence, or all the changes with the Boy Scouts of America, because of the matrix that Journey to Excellence was set up on, that you were measured from prior achievements. So you know everything was measured with a increase by 1 or increase by X percentage. And with the LDS Church bowing out, the district level of Journey to Excellence was pretty much destroyed. So they've set the district Journey to Excellence aside for the year to kind of let all the dust settle so that we can create some kind of base to build upon. However, the units still have Journey to Excellence measurements. So let me continue on. So we're contacting units and using commissioner tools, linking unit needs to resources in the district, assisting with charter renewal, and encouraging roundtable attendance. All of those are so important. I've found that since we've merged with all the councils in Utah and our district structure under the old method, the old LDS units were very much independent of themselves and little dependent on the district. Since that structure has gone away, the district has stepped into the role of spotting needs and identifying resources to help those. I'll just give a real quick story. The other day, we were having one of our roundtables for the Silver Sage district that I'm the district commissioner for. And we have a ship. We have the skipper for our Sea Scout ship. And he's very experienced and is all familiar with, of course, the sea scouting but his vision was of what he was used to. So I asked him, I said, are you familiar with the class ropes area that's out by Utah Lake? He was not. And so we gave him that contact with the guy out there. It's a cope course, and it's right there by Utah Lake, and it's a camping facility also. And then I asked him if he was familiar with the Quail Creek camp we have down in southern Utah in St. George. It's right on the boundaries of the Quail Creek Reservoir, which is another ideal place for them. So it was kind of fun to open up his vision on what he used to. He was familiar with Bear Lake up north, but he wasn't familiar with the stuff down south. Charter renewal, of course, is important in engaging in roundtable attendance, but our goal today is contacting units and capturing their strengths and needs in commissioner tools. So we'll spend our time there. So what is a contact? Put a contact in.
Well, there's all kinds of ways that we contact each other, and but it's supposed to be something that's helpful to the unit or helpful to us to understand the needs of the unit, more than just saying hi to someone.
Well, um, of course, you're right, David. I think that most unit commissioners, or a lot of unit commissioners, try to read too much into what a contact is. It's not a performance review every time. It's an observation, and it can happen in many ways. I've found that most of the best unit contacts I've had have really been informal conversations, bumping into the guy at the grocery store, seeing him at church, talking with him at some council activity where we're both there and I can visit with him with his unit. But, generally speaking, unit activities, council activities, seeking out the units that you work with and just asking them a few questions and observing and making positive comments to whomever you're talking to, or just making mental notes or actual notes as to what you see happening so you can bring that to their attention when you do meet with them. Phone calls are important, easy to do. Texts and emails, of course. Attending an actual committee meeting. Of course, individual contacts where you would have one-on-one face-to-face with them, and attending a unit meeting. And of late, here's the new reality of scouting. And it's been good and it's been bad. And it's been difficult to navigate around. I'd like to discuss some issues with our current staff, with our current people, about your experiences with contacting units through Zoom.
Well, so I just barely started doing this maybe like 3 weeks ago, and started contacting my units. And one of them actually contacted me and said they were having a PAC meeting. And so I was able to go to their PAC meeting. It was really awesome. And just observe, I've been in scouting for 20 years off and on. And I know what a good PAC meeting is and what a bad PAC meeting is. I've experienced the whole range. And this was an excellent PAC meeting. And so I told them it was excellent. They did all the things. So that was really encouraging that people are out there actually doing it on Zoom. They did a great job with the kids. They played games with them. They did the awards with them. There was 20 kids. They were all engaged, and the Scoutmaster was really cute. So I was really encouraged by that. So, yeah.
For years and years, they used to say, you can't take the outing out of scouting. But we figured out how to do that. We figured out how to take the outing out of scouting.
Well, and it was really cute because, instead of the kids like all getting together and doing a skit, a couple of them had videotaped themselves doing skits and then played the videos. So that was really cute. Yeah.
Another observation that I have is that I'm of an older generation where technology doesn't always make sense, and I struggle. I'm glad that I know as much as I do and can do as much as I do, but I am the proverbial tip of the iceberg compared to all the stuff that the scouts know how to do and can do and are willing to do. Making videos, making movies, doing all kinds of I don't even know the terminology that they have with the social media that is everywhere and such a big part of their lives. So as unit commissioners, observing their access and their abilities to use social media during this time, I think is critical to our unit service, our unit commissioner service. Any other comments about contacting units this way?
I will say that as a younger person involved in the program, it has been extremely helpful to have had the experience of being able to use all these remote technologies. It's very easy to switch from playing games online on Discord with video chat with the boys on Saturday night to go to living pretty much my entire life this way.
Jim, we just had a court of honor with our troop, and the assistant senior patrol leader ran the court of honor, and I was amazed at the technological background he had to be able to run Zoom. And so the whole scouting program where we allow the youth to gain leadership experience, he did it, and he ran the meeting from his computer at home. We had good attendance, we had good participation. It was a great meeting, great court of honor.
So this was a youth that did that, Wendell?
Yes, it was a youth that did that, Jim.
That was one of the points I was going to make, that Richard's presentation earlier about I only use the word leader when it's referring to youth, and having the Scoutmasters encourage and I don't want to use the word delegate, but having encouraging the senior patrol leaders and things to take the lead in the social media aspect of this COVID version of scouting. I think it's important. So how frequently do we make these commissioner visits? What's the JTE version of commissioner visits?
Is it 6 contacts per unit per year to include at least one detailed assessment?
Well, you're reading my notes. As many as needed, recommended monthly, 6 per year to meet the JTE objectives, with one detailed and prioritize. Oops, went too far.
Just one question. I know that I tried to at least put it on my calendar every month, and most months I was able to make it before we ran into COVID. But since COVID, I've really been struggling. I'd usually catch a unit meeting and so on. I've tried to catch up with the Scoutmasters. I've got a brand new girls troop, and I've had a pack and a boys troop that's been running for a while, but COVID's actually impacted it, and I don't know if I'm the only one that's seen that, but I'm struggling a lot more than what I used to be in order to be able to deal with it. I'm just curious if other people are struggling the way I am, or if they've found ways around that maybe might help me.
So with making contact with my units, I've asked to be invited to their remote committee meetings every month, and I don't always attend, but it's nice to have that reminder of, oh, I need to talk to this unit. They're meeting, I can kind of hear what they're working on and how things are going with them from them. So that might be a good way to ensure that you have some kind of a reminder and a practical opportunity to talk to them as well.
Thanks, Anthony.
I'll make one observation also. The Boy Scouts of America over the years have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on analyzing how to make scouting more effective at the unit level. And they have determined that if the boys are camping and if they're advancing, then the program is succeeding in what its purposes. But the key thing is advancement and outdoors. And when COVID hit, we had those two pillars yanked out from under us. We couldn't meet. The activities were just sorely restricted or eliminated and stopped. So advancement, because there wasn't that encouragement and built-in ways to do things, merit badge powwows kind of went away. Individual, we were encouraged to kind of take shelter. Um, Scouting just stopped, and we've all have had measures of success, some little and some a lot, navigating through these difficult waters to achieve those goals of getting outside, doing camping, doing activities, and advancing. What are some of the success stories that we've had with the people online here? Share with me some of your success stories.
Well, Jim, I'll share one. I'm a unit commissioner for 2 troops. And I went to roundtable the other night and I thought, it's difficult to see who's in which troop during a Zoom meeting. You see a name, but they don't always have their troop number by their name. And so I just wrote up a summary of roundtable and sent it out as an email to both of the troops. And I got an email back from one of the scoutmasters saying, hey, I couldn't attend roundtable. I really appreciated this. So normally I would say in a general manner, I wouldn't have done that, but because of the pandemic and virtual reality with Zoom, I found a way to do it. So you just have to look for those opportunities, Jim.
Got to be creative. And it's frustrating. I get in a rut. I like to do scouting my way. When I was scoutmaster, I told the boys, and this was long before a lot of the youth protection things, I said, we go camping the second Saturday of every month. If you're going to go, show up at my house at 6 o'clock. We'll pile everybody in the vehicles and we'll go camping. If you don't show up at 6 o'clock, I just assume you're not going, and we would go. We'd head out in the hills and we'd do our stuff. The boys would plan the program and things, but that was my effort to make sure everybody was coming. All that kind of got put to bed whenever we couldn't, now we couldn't do that. And even the places we can go are somewhat limited. Well, let's continue here. Ground rules for doing unit visitations. What are some of the proper etiquette? I would use the word etiquette here for making unit visitations.
Hey, Jim, I was going to say, stay the whole meeting. People don't like it when you just drop in for a minute and then leave. Oh, there you go.
Of course, you need to call in advance, and that's a couple of things, because sometimes they say they're going to meet, but they don't meet, or they're meeting a different way or in a different place. Stay the whole meeting, yes. You're not the reason they're there, so you need to observe, but you're not in the thick of things. You need to kind of shadow. Wear your uniform, set the example. Do's and don'ts in meetings. What are some of the things you don't want to do in unit visitations?
Not interrupting is usually a pretty big one.
So we've made our visits, we've called them, or we've texted them, or we've gone to their activity, or bumped into them at the grocery store, or all those activities we talked about earlier. And we've observed these units. We've got a little fishnet here full of stuff. What are you supposed to do with this stuff?
What I try to do, and if I do it, it's more successful, is I try and get a visit recorded before I go to sleep that night, as far as a formal unit visit report made. Otherwise, if I got more than that go by, I'll end up losing the information, not pass it on to the district.
You're right, David. Put the information in commissioner tools. Now, the rest of this presentation, for the next ever how long we have, we're going to get kind of detailed with this. But let me ask the question, why is Commissioner Tools so important? What's the big deal? I've made this visit. Why do I have to put it in Commissioner Tools?
Well, you know that you've made the visit, and the people that were there know that you made the visit, but sometimes the support that they needs to come from someone outside of that group that you've just visited with. Sometimes your ADC or someone or your district commissioner might need to be aware of things that they need to do to support. There might be training needs or stuff like that, but they're not aware of it unless they can see it, any of the records that you post in Commissioner Tools.
So I said earlier that the whole purpose of Journey to Excellence is to find a baseline standard, a baseline level of where the troop is. And then Journey to Excellence gives you some kind of measuring tool to measure against yourself to increase your level of performance, to identify the weak points and the strong points, and to encourage you to get to the next level. The Commissioner Tools tool, the great part about Commissioner Tools is its evaluation of where you are and how to get to the next level, or to address the things. One of the most frustrating things I've had professionally, as well as in scouting, is you can often meet with the same people time after time and essentially have the same meeting every time. Talk about the same things. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. And I would point to the fact that some kind of improvement plan wasn't discussed to resolve that. And that's the real key with our Commissioner Tools. Do you know where to find Commissioner Tools? Some do, some don't. And you know how to access. So we got one down, okay. How to access the unit or access the unit assessments. And that's what we're going to talk about. Step one, scouting.org. You go to scouting.org, and that's the national site. It's not a council site, it's a national site. And one of the key points from here is that you need to be registered as a commissioner to have access to Commissioner Tools. I'm not sure if where everybody is from, but in my specific district, I am having the most infuriating time getting people that are functioning as commissioners to actually register as commissioners. They're wearing a couple of hats. They might be involved in a unit as well as on a roundtable staff, or serving in other committee positions with the unit, as well as a unit commissioner. And I think in their mind, I'm registered and that should be enough. But the key element is to get registered as a unit commissioner.
Jim, I think that's one of the problems that we have, is that, you know, we're registered, we think we're registered, and we don't realize that we have to be registered twice and fill out forms twice, and it can't just blend together.
It is so frustrating.
Yes.
That has frustrated me in all my years with scouting, and I don't know how many years I've got, but it always amazed me how you've got a piece of paper, it's got all my information on it. It just happened to have a different position. So why can't you just change the position? It's illogical to me, but that being said, it is what it is. And you have to have another piece of paper in the pipeline identifying yourself as a unit commissioner to do this. I had this conversation with our roundtable people, just last roundtable, my Cub Roundtable commissioner asked me, Jim, can you get me a current list of Cub masters? And I said, I'd be glad to do that. But if you were registered as a unit commissioner, if you were registered as a commissioner, you could look that up on your own and you could keep your records up to date without having to go through me. So we're back on the scouting.org website here, and you're going to log in right there where it says my.scouting, log in. And that's going to bring up this screen. And this is where it's going to know if you're a unit commissioner or not, but you're going to just log in there. I don't know, can you see my arrow when I do that? Probably not. So you log in and it's going to bring up this screen, the my.scouting.org screen. And that's innocent enough. There's a reminder about registration and how to transfer between units and learn more about registration. Then if there's the Learning Center and youth protection training and stuff. But you go right there to the menu. And when you click on that menu, it's going to bring up this screen. So depending on what you're registered as, this will vary a little bit. But you'll notice the arrow there says Commissioner Tools for the Silver Sage District, which is in the South Service area. There's other things there. This is where you access my training, my profile, my member ID, various accounts, my application, various resources and things. But you hit the Commissioner Tools and you are now officially in Commissioner Tools. So this page gives us some interesting information about the district. And I guess I can use this as a bad example. I hope your districts are better than this. But we have 3 commissioners assigned and 2 unassigned. So we have a total of 5 commissioners. I need twice that many. I have twice that many, but they're not registered as commissioners. There are 11 units assigned and 44 unassigned. And that's because I can't assign a unit to a position if they're not registered as a unit commissioner. The average, the assessment summaries of those 11 assigned units, the units with simple or simple assessments is 5%, and none of them have had a detailed assessment. And how many contacts are in progress? Of those 55 units, of those 11 units that have been visited, the average score is 3.83. So this is some good information. Over there with the service plan summary, units with the service plan created, 0. Units with the service plan completed, 0. We got our work to do. Unit summary there, 55 units, units not contacted. We've only contacted 3 units. So you can see the growth that needs to happen in here. So as a unit commissioner, you've got to this point.
Now, Jim, you'll probably get to that, but I'm kind of vague on the whole concept of a service plan. And so if you'll cover that later on, that's great. But that's something that I've got some questions dealing with unit contacts.
We will be doing that. As we get in, we're going to walk through a detailed assessment and discuss it. And the last point, the last bullet point in the detailed assessment is the service plan.
Okay.
Jim, the next class right after yours goes into the great detail on how to set up that unit service plan. So I haven't seen Jim's presentation, so I don't know what it is, but if you want more detail, Dave, you can come to the next class. It starts at 11 o'clock on
Okay.
service plans.
Thank you.
My part of the service plan will just be a review to show you the sheet and just kind of get you familiar with what could happen. We're not going to create a service plan. So we hit contacts, and then it's going to bring up all your contacts here. And there'll be several pages. You'll notice down here at the bottom, I've got 6+ pages to scroll through. I've got 55 units here, and there's only 10 or so units listed here. So in the little box there, you got to click which unit you want to do the assessment for. And you'll also notice in the far right column which ones have been identified that have commissioners. So Troop Pack 51 has one, and Pack 99 has one, but the others do not. Okay, so we identify our unit. And so we've identified that Pack 3, or Troop 3, as the unit we want to contact. And now we're up here where we're going to add a contact. There's other options there. You can show a history of unit visitations. You can print whatever. You can see the last contact, the unit score. Pack 1456 had a score of 4, and its last visit was on January 5th. You can see that Troop 51 had a last score of 5, and its change was up 0.5. And then you can see all the blanks where nothing has happened. So we're going to add a contact. And now it pops up this screen, and it's going to ask you a few basic informations. If you look at the type of contact, in this particular one, it says district event. There's a little drop down arrow. If you hit that, and it will give you these options of an event, a committee meeting, an activity, phone call, and all the things we talked about earlier about what defines a contact. It will give you that option of identifying what you did and who the commissioner was that made the contact, and the date of the contact, and whether or not the unit health has changed. Then you'll notice at the bottom, there's a detailed assessment and a simple assessment. And this was where you will decide which one you're going to report on. So we have a detailed assessment. You can click on that. And this screen pops up. Now there's a lot of information here too. I like the fact that they color code evaluations. So you'll notice a 1 is a low score, and you're going to be evaluating all these things on a scale from 1 to 5. So 1 is the low score, 2 is a medium low, then you got the yellow that's medium, then you got the green that is medium high, and then the other green that is high. So at just a glance, you can see when this is all said and done, you can see where the various evaluations are. And in this particular unit, this is, like I said, this is Troop 3 in the Silver Sage District number 8. Off to the left there, you can see blank assessment form. So I could print a blank assessment form. And that's not what I want to do. You can notice that there are 14 leaders that have youth protection training, and 2 of those leaders have expired. I'm sorry, I mistold you. Um, uh, those are trained leaders. Yes, that's youth protection training. And then there are 21 youth and 21 youth in the unit. 7 of the leaders are fully trained or not trained, and 8 of the leaders are trained. So that's good information. We've got those 14 youth protection, 8 of them are trained. There's a couple that need youth protection, 7 of them need training. You will hit the next bar or scroll down, excuse me. If you scroll down below that screen, you're going to find this screen. You'll notice that there's planning and budget, membership, program, volunteer leadership, unit priorities and details, and then create a unit service plan. So those are your options where you're starting. So select one, and we'll just start at the top here. So we have budget and planning. So it's given you the options here to fill out. As far as Unit 3 is concerned, in their budget, they have a program plan and a budget that is regularly reviewed by the committee and follows the BSA policies relating to fundraising. On a scale from 1 to 5, how would you rate this unit? And then you can fill in some comments. They do, I would say they do their popcorn fundraising, which is the major part of their fundraising efforts. They do charge dues also. And to my knowledge, everything is falling under the policies of the BSA. Understanding that there are things Boy Scouts cannot do in their fundraising, and often a good idea is not necessarily the idea they want to use, but this is just, that's an exception to the rule. So assuming that they have done the right things. The next one, membership. So now we have 3 areas to evaluate on a scale from 1 to 5. First one is retention. They retain a significant percentage of their youth. They're growing scouting, units increasing in membership and maintaining a larger than average size for their unit type. I don't know what you would define as larger than average. Nationally, they say a scout unit should be about 30. My personal involvement with scouting is, if you've got 30 scouts, you're doing really, really well in Utah. Of course, Richard, he comes from the mega units of 75, 80, and I've had association with units that had 100 kids in it and stuff, and I'm amazed. But I think typically you're going to find units that are around 20, 15 to 20. And then a Weeblo to Scout transition. Are we getting scouts from an identified pack or packs? And there again, some commissioner notes. They need to find, just for example, they need to find a pack to help feed this troop. Their average size, and you can just make a note, average size for our area is 15 kids and this unit is 15 kids, whatever comments you want to make. Then you go down to program. And this is always fun. Sometimes it takes a little research before the meeting or after the meeting, but the areas in program, of course, are camping and service projects and advancement. And so you're rating on a scale from 1 to 5 these areas. So they have achieved a high percentage of advancement. And you can kind of do the math in your head. If there's 20 kids there and 10 of them advanced, that's 50%. I think that's good. If only 5 of them have advanced, they probably need some help. If all of them advanced, that's great. Short-term camping, that's our camporees and things. And I think in this time of COVID, we need to be practical in this. What are the capabilities of going short-term camping? Do they have options? Same thing with long-term camping. They participate in a long-term camp with the majority of the troop in attendance. I know all of our camps in the Crossroads of the West Council, there's lots of room for camping, and there's a lot of our units are not doing long-term camping. But there again, evaluate that from 1 to 5. Service projects evaluated from 1 to 5. Today is Scouting for Food Day in our council. We still do that. And there's a myriad of other service projects that can happen in neighborhoods and things, of course. And then do they use the patrol method? Are they using the patrol method to develop their youth? So you've evaluated program, and now we're into volunteer leadership. This is the training. They have trained and engaged leaders at all levels, which would mean youth leaders and adult leaders, and have a proactive approach to recruiting sufficient leaders and communicating with parents. There again, there's your evaluation from 1 to 5 and some commissioner comments on ideas that you might come up with. We go down to the next one, unit priorities and details. So is the unit striving to achieve its JTE award? Or key leaders, if key leaders are changing within the next 4 months, yes or no? Do we need a discussion with the assistant district commissioners or district commissioners for a candidate for those leadership? Youth attendance. And then the priority needs here. There's a little list of things. There's issues with the key 3, the unit's not attending, the unit has no leader, units with no committee, a unit with new members, units conflict with the chartered organization, and other things on the list there. And then here's the unit service plan that we talked about. So it's on the list. I don't remember who asked about the unit service plan, but here's a list. And, it's very simple in that you put some dates and people and say, okay, since this is you've identified this problem. And so what are we going to do about it? And you put it in writing so that there's some reference for future follow-up in this meetings by the unit commissioner. So describe the action and identify the person that John is going to train Joe, and also we're going to do this so that our advancement can and increase. So that's your detailed assessment. It's also important to note that when you're in commissioner tools, if you're registered as an active commissioner, there's lots of other reports just besides the unit reports that you can access. The district stats and the priority needs, unassigned units, unit health, all these various things. That's for another day. Also, I pointed out that when we first got into commissioner tools, the BSA has created a lot of learning courses. And you can take the Commissioner Tools training. It's in 13 modules just by clicking on that BSA Learn Center. So, oh, I guess I'm over. Well, that's good because my time's almost up. I hope this little review has maybe answered any questions and maybe taken the cloud away, you know, the detailed assessment. It's this big animal. A service plan is a big animal, a big thing. And they're not. They're designed to be simple and very straightforward. And when you do that, when you do those assessments, you have a valuable tool now to take the unit to help resolve its issues and help feel the leader's support. One of the things that Richard talked about and we talked about earlier is when a scoutmaster has to do everything by himself, he's going to burn out. Committee members are not trained. They don't know what to do. So a unit commissioner can come in, share this information with them, delegate out all the things that need to be done. And on your next visit, it's a follow-up. And how are we doing with getting that activity for advancement done? How are we doing about getting these leaders trained and regroup and then redo it again? The simple assessment is very similar to the detailed assessment. It just doesn't take, it doesn't go into so many details, so to speak. So thank you for your time. If there's no other questions, we got exactly 62 seconds on my clock before we're done. Thank you, and I hope this was helpful to you.